In today's day and age, in a time where green is of the essence and we are becoming more filth, as you would say, involved. Green and clean and recycling is something that I feel is important and needs to be talked about. I want you to imagine something real quick. Most of us know how a ruler works. Most of us know how a tape measure works. I want you to picture in your mind a line or a ruler or a tape measure wrapping all the way around Earth, right? It's a lot. Now imagine that 24 times, okay? Back in 2009, EPA estimated that that's about how much trash Americans produced. Now that trash, about 75% of that could have been turned into recycled material. And of that 75, or of that 24 time wrapped around trash, about 95% of that being food that could have been composed. So I think that right there alone just kind of gives you a picture of kind of what we're dealing with. Today we're going to be talking about recycling and how I feel like it is something that we all need to be very involved in, and something that we as Americans and as just human beings should really grasp onto and really take care of and get after. I've recycled and done quite a bit of research on going green and have applied that into my own life. That being me every single day, when I take out the trash, I make sure that I take out a separate trash that we have set aside to set in the recycle bin. By the end of this speech, I hope that I can persuade you and get you to recycle and go green. So let's talk about natural resources. When I think about natural resources, the first thing that comes to my mind is trees. I think trees are of high demand a lot of different times, and they are a very rich and valuable source. Now, that being said, these natural resources, this can turn into what we would like to call trash. It's something that I think we use a lot, and that can really take over our life in the trash, in the recycle world, if we use improperly. Enormous amounts of trees are cut down in the rainforests every single year. According to D. Jensen, the author of Deforestation, in 2009, he estimated that about 50% of the rainforest in a short region of that rainforest was cut. Now, that's huge when you talk about trash and what we're using and paper. It just goes to show how much we're using, and it's no good. This CO2 emission is another thing that can come from trees and this pollution and trash, which can also lead into what we're going to go into. Global warming is a result of wasting natural resources. This CO2 is emitted and by all this trash and different vehicles being burned off, different things like that. And it creates a very dirty environment that's not green and not what we want. You should know what types of material can be recycled and how to practice recycling in your daily life. I think that it's something that we don't talk about enough, and that a lot of people just don't understand, and they haven't been educated enough on. According to an all-green recycling brochure in 2012, there are many kinds of recycled materials in our daily lives that we do not realize, that being paper, boxes, cardboard, glass, bottles, or containers made out of plastic or metal, including aluminum, steel, or steel. So that being said, right away, that right there just tells me, well, shoot, every single American comes in contact with all those every single day. Every human comes in contact with those every single day. And if we just put that into perspective and realize if we can just turn the switch and change that rather into trash but into recycled material, that alone right there can just help the problem. Know what cannot be recycled. Well, pizza boxes, plastic bags, juice boxes, different things like that are things that we also come into contact every day with, that a lot of people also are using a lot every day. And those things, they might feel, well, okay, if there's other material that I'm using that I come in contact with that can be recyclable, these things probably can too. And that's where the education of recycling needs to come into play, to really trigger and just us so that we can learn what should and shouldn't be recycled. The result of recycling makes a huge difference on everyday life. According to the United States Environment Protection Agency, the EPA, on a report of natural recycling figures in 2009, 82 million tons composed or recycled for recovery, and it meant United States recycle about 32% of the waste today. Compared to last decade, the rate is 100% increase. So you see how educating people and having them learn about recycled material, what should be recycled, what shouldn't be recycled, you see the impacts it can have and the positive impacts. Just that alone, just the education of learning through that brochure of what to recycle and what not to, you can see how people can catch on and begin to just start to recycle. Just to kind of wrap up the speech. I know it was quick and things like that, but it was kind of just to the point. I'd like to discuss the issues with using natural resources that are slowly depleting, how you can do your part to recycle, and how the effects of recycling through visual aid. Depleting natural resources, as we talked about, trees getting cut down, cars using gasoline, which comes from coal, and different things like that. Those natural resources are just depleting, and we are causing that by just continuing to use them. How can you do your part? As we mentioned, with the education of recycling, you can do your part by just, taking that little extra time out of your day to just make sure, rather than throwing this in the trash, let me just throw it in the recycling bin and become part of the good cause. And that kind of wraps up our speech. Hope all y'all are doing safe. Hope all y'all are doing good. And I hope that today I helped you influence, not just you, but you to influence others on recycling the benefits. Thank you.